Well, hello, everybody, and welcome to our Exploring the Blackboard Ultra AI Design Assistant workshop. So in this workshop, we're going to explore the new features of the Blackboard learning management system, and we'll also do some demonstrations, but most of all, we'll welcome questions, and we're going to provide some information for future considerations. I'm going to go ahead and share the presentation. So UIC and Anthology collaborated on AI for quite a while. So AI did not start in November of last year, but in fact, it's been in development for a long time. And so we're happy to be part of the process, and certainly happy to adopt the new ways of how computers work. This is going to be just an everyday capacity, the generative AI and machine learning and other features of AI. And so we want to just indicate that, in fact, UIC has been working with these systems for some time. What's interesting about AI in the Blackboard Learn system is that it is framed within a trustworthy policy. So our partners such as Microsoft and Anthology are ensuring the privacy of our data, ensuring that the communication with AI is secure, and that it is under specific control, and that it is doing exactly what the institution expects it to do, and not follow its own ways, as it might happen if you're using command line prompt engineering outside systems. So these features that we are going to review today are meant for instructors. The main point is to inspire instructors. So what does it mean? It means that instructors are still the authors of their course. Instructors are going to continue to evaluate the content. One of the main principles here is that someone who is qualified, such as an instructor, is able to look at a suggestion, at a draft from AI, and then they will go ahead and accept it. They can further edit it, but it will help them to get new ideas, and it will shorten the time to reach the instructional design objectives, such as creating quizzes or creating modules or finding graphical content. By shortening the time, we make the process less frustrating, and therefore encourage instructors to adopt some of the advanced features of the LMS, such as rubrics. And so by inspiration, we mean both shortening the time so that the ideas can continue to flow and the instructors will continue to adopt more features, but also having an open mind and getting new ideas, such as when questions are generated. So there are 6 initial capabilities, which we'll go over very soon. Now, the AI Design Assistant is part of what Anthology or Blackboard calls intelligent experiences. So it's Anthology IX. Now, these intelligent experiences can include generative AI, such as the tools we'll look over today, or it can include machine learning and other ways of interacting with AI, such as here where we see progress tracking by item. There's also a feature for flexible grading in Learn Ultra. And also there are other intelligent experiences that the LMS is providing. We've adopted recently the Ally product for accessibility, and this product also uses machine learning to process documents, to look at documents from various perspectives, and that's also part of AI as a technology. So holistic student overview and student progress is another great way to have intelligent experiences in Blackboard Ultra. And by the way, all the features that we are presenting today are in Blackboard Ultra, which is the more modern and more flexible way to design courses. We also at UIC support Blackboard Original, which is the older style of courses and the more basic interface. Course Activity Report is another great place to have intelligent experiences, and this is available under Analytics inside Blackboard Learn Ultra. So the first feature to consider out of the generative AI features in Blackboard Learn is the course structure suggestions, or auto-generation of learning modules. As you can see in the screenshot, you can produce a list of topics if you wanted to. If you do not produce a list of topics, it is going to take the course name and make up the topics that typically would be part of your course name. Now, this is based on feedback from multiple universities, and that's kind of the AI engine that generates the data. But if you want to be more specific, you can provide a list of topics from your textbook, and then this list of topics will be used to create the titles and to create the descriptions, which are actually fairly accurate, and there's nothing better but to try it. Also, the difficulty level is an adjustable property. The difficulty level basically means what college level or what educational level you would like to see in the language and in the complexity of the titles and descriptions. So the more to the low end you move this interface slider, the closer to K-12, and then the highest level is a PhD level. And again, the language that's used can be measured in multiple ways. There are systems that the library has where you can paste in a paragraph and it'll tell you what level of language it is. We often do that with textbook, where we evaluate the level. So that's adjustable, and this particular feature really helps to create new courses or additional modules in an existing course. The next feature, the image generation, is a really welcome and beautiful feature, quite literally beautiful, because it helps you to find images quicker. Now, the images that AI generates can be sometimes awkward. So the Blackboard Learn system has two ways of finding new images. One, when you generate the learning modules, it will actually generate images. So if you are generating images for a class, maybe about cooking, you will see images that will correspond to the specific module that was generated for you. And of course, you can regenerate them as many times as you want to, or you can replace the images with images that you intend. The second way of sourcing or locating images is by using what's called Unsplash. Unsplash, it's a project. It's actually a company that helps authors, so photographers, license their content in a flexible way. And so by the time the images show in this Unsplash interface, and you can provide the title, so what it is that you're looking for in an image, and then it'll show you licensed images that you can use. So this kind of a business model helps photographers to be noticed. It helps photographers to share their work. And the name of the photographer is going to show also in the interface as you're selecting the images. But it'll help you to find a course image. So this kind of graphical cover for your course that will also be available to students under My Courses. Next feature is the test question generation system. Now, this is used, for example, by one of our faculty members in the engineering department who has a test about, or a quiz about the syllabus in the class. So if you think about your syllabus, how many questions, right, could you create about it? And often the answer is, well, relatively few, because there's only so many things you can ask about the syllabus. And you'd be surprised how many details and how many perspectives AI can find to give you more questions about a simple topic. So in College of Engineering, they generated a large amount of questions about their syllabi, so that way they can randomize them and they actually make the students read the syllabus to a better detail. So here's also where you can adjust the complexity of the questions. So what language is used, and then the number of questions and the type. So you can generate true or false questions, multiple choice. There are mix and match questions you can use. Or if you say inspire me, it will simply do a mix of various questions. The next feature, rubric generation, is my favorite because rubrics can be difficult to implement. If you think about the assignments you already have, to go and create a rubric that specifies the amount of points for each level of accomplishment on every graded element of that assignment. It's, of course, a table. It's an array that's created, as the slide shows, and it can take time. If you do this every day, if you're an instructional designer and you create rubrics all the time, it gets easier. But if you review your course once a semester, then the rubrics can kind of be cognitively difficult to embrace. So this feature helps faculty to feel less frustration about rubrics and adapt them more readily. Now, here at UIC, we took an approach to adapt AI by really following kind of institutional policy. So we made sure that the Learning Management System Governance Board was included to make sure that the pedagogy, that the course design, and faculty views were included in the decision-making process. We also ran the features by our security team and by our CAB committee, which is the Change Advisory Board. So because we have these internal review systems, and also we have a contract with Anthology, this is a safe environment. So this is not like copying and pasting from external systems where your data might or might not be protected. This is a safe environment, and working with an existing partner makes it possible. Some of the assurances that we have about this work with AI is that none of the data is shared with Microsoft or processed. So we're using the backend. It's called Azure OpenAI, and this is the privacy of it is guaranteed by the contracts that we have in place. Now, a couple of words about the controls that we have in the Blackboard AI features. These are graphical user interfaces. So you will find a slider for complexity. You will find number of questions. And why this is important is because when you use external AI systems, such as maybe ChatGPT, you are responsible to write the text of the prompt. And there you will have to include things like number of questions, or explain what the level of complexity would be. Let's say you might say the first year of college level of complexity. And so what Blackboard did is they created graphical user interfaces that helped us to make it easier to discover various elements that can be adjusted in the internal prompt that's generated to the AI engine. So right here we see the layout, for example, of the complexity going from early elementary to advanced PhD level just by moving the dial. And that's kind of the strength of having enterprise level AI, where you don't have to engineer a prompt. You have buttons that help you to do this behind the scenes. And here's an example of what generation of rubric would look like with a command line public access AI versus what we have available in Blackboard. And so these two screenshots show on the left the prompt that it would take in ChatGPT. So specifically, we're asking for an assignment rubric. We're providing the, so in text, the level of complexity. And then we provide what it is we're looking for in the assignment. Now, in Blackboard, you can add the detail of what it is you're looking for in assignment. So the description field allows you to manipulate the prompt that goes towards AI, but also you have the graphical user interface to specify in a more user-oriented way without having to do this in text on what the rubric will be. This building of a prompt behind the scenes is the concept that Blackboard is using. So instead of you having to remember what to type, they're building these sliders and building the user interface. Otherwise, the prompt in AI typically includes task definition, context, maybe examples, formatting, temperature, which temperature basically in AI means how creative the system needs to be versus how much it needs to stick to data. And so the spectrum of temperature helps you, for example, to avoid hallucinations if you choose that. Well, Blackboard is already specifying these to optimize it for educational experience. And so you can add through description of what you want that prompt to also include. Now, here's an example of how the prompt behind the scenes is created. So on the left, we have a course called Square, a very simple title. And that course Square, when you press generate on learning modules, it will create some basic modules. And in this instance, the complexity is set to low. And notice the simplicity of the language that's generated. Then on the right side of the screen, the complexity is set to high. We have the same situation where it's only the course name that the system is using, but it's generating the more advanced view of what a square could be. So moving forward, we are also able to build the prompt by using this description field. So while square is still the name of the course, by the time I added shape in description and then generated learning modules, notice that the modules actually include a combination of both what's in the course name, Square, which set a nice context. So if it's a computer science course, AI then sets a context for this generation. And then it used shape to narrow down what these modules will be about. So we have kind of cascading effect. We have course name. If this is an assignment-based generation, such as with a rubric, there's assignment name that's also calculated in, and then the description. So you can be more specific about how things will be generated by using description. And on the right here, we have kind of conceptual move from command line. Remember when you clicked on a command prompt, maybe there was a DOS system back in the 90s when you had to look at the display and then know what to type in. There was not a way to just suggest things for you. Later, when Windows became available, functionality became discoverable. By seeing different buttons, it was easier to use because you didn't have to memorize command lines. So the progress that we're making here is going away from the ChatGPT approach, where you have to remember what to type in, into buttons that you are going to use, which makes things discoverable, make things easier to adopt, and they'll be more reliable that way. All right, I want to share here with you an article that was posted by Blackboard recently. We're going to include it in the links. But this particular article talks about some of the lessons that are learned already when it comes to working with generative AI. For example, that the systems are unable to identify essays or articles generated with AI. So for a while, there was a little arms race going on where Turnitin and other companies were trying to detect and find ways to basically detect, such as in academic integrity issues when plagiarism is being detected. They were trying to find if there's a way to let instructors know this student was using ChatGPT to generate this document. And today we know that that's not possible. And so where Blackboard is moving is into taking advantage of AI instead of trying to prevent using it. And this is a really nice article that talks about it. So let me share with you, beyond the features that we saw today, what are the new features that Blackboard is working on? And the first new feature is the authentic assessment. And so what Blackboard did in their research is they asked the question, what is it that AI isn't good at? So AI is not good at looking at current events or looking at personal experiences that students might have. Therefore, what Blackboard is doing is it'll help instructors find ways to adopt authentic assessment. And when you say, hey, suggest for me a discussion forum prompt, it's going to generate a few suggestions, and it will include the Bloom taxonomy cognitive level to help you initiate discussions that would be difficult for AI to respond to. So really nice features coming up in near future. Enhancement suggestions for content, looking forward to this feature. And then also a possible Socratic debate activity where students will be able to talk to AI, and they'll be able to basically move back in time to a specific environment and talk to the individuals. Of course, this is AI generated a conversation. So the quotes, all the writings of, say, Socrates, I'm sorry, not writings of Socrates, Plato wrote about him, but let's say all the quotes from Socrates are filed, and therefore the AI can take the angle and kind of the voice of a past master. So these are some features that we will review in the future. And finally, I just wanted to share that our students are already using AI. They're using it for various tasks. In this example, this is a YouTube video that Educos created that gives us some examples of what students are doing. And I just really like this particular quote that says, a student is reporting, I don't think I would be able to do this program and be successful in it without the help of some of these tools. It really just saves so much time. I have a family, I have a husband, I have a brand new puppy, right? So it just shows you that students are finding ways for AI to help them. And what a beautiful thing for instructors to also adopt these tools so that they can be efficient, they can have some new ideas to work with and make their courses more engaging. So at this point, I'm going to ask if perhaps there are any questions based on the topic. So, Parth, do we have any questions?
Yep. I have a series of questions to ask. So just starting off with the first one, do you think that AI could possibly be replacing instructors?
You know, that's a great question. In fact, it's a very common question that comes up at K-12, but also higher education levels. And one of the simplistic answers is that likely people will not be replaced, but people who are familiar with AI and know how to use it will have more chances at jobs. So you might not be replaced by AI, but a person who knows how to use it might replace you. But it's actually a more complex topic, because earlier we talked about this new feature that Blackboard is considering, and that is to have a conversation with with historical character. And so, yes, there can be some instruction or tutorial work that has to do maybe with explaining. One of my favorite features in generative AI is that you can say, explain it to me like I'm 5 years old. And it will do that. It'll go back to simple words, even when you're asking for some advanced computing concept. You can then say, give me examples, give me more examples. So there are some there's instructional value in AI, but just like we have, the internet opened the way for Wikipedia to be there. So entire encyclopedia online, not just published by one person, but kind of collaborated on. So technology is going to open new tools, and it can aid instruction. We had personalized learning for a while, where there are systems where you log in and it will provide you videos, it'll track your progress. A good example will be Duolingo, right? Which basically becomes a teacher for you. However, these tutorial systems, these systems for catching the gaps in learning, that's likely where AI will shine when it comes to working in a higher education course. the instructor is still the conductor of the orchestra. The instructor is still kind of empowered to be the human element that educates, not just instructs or passes knowledge, but educates. Thank you for the question. Do we have another one?
Yep, very well. I'm glad you said that people that use AI are more beneficial than them being replaced, because I'm majoring in computer science and gonna be a software engineer soon. So I guess like I see the bright side of it. However, I think like we went over this, but again, do you think that students get access to AI at UIC? Will they get access to AI at UIC?
Excellent question. So in this presentation, we are talking about features for instructors, and we were very laser specific at instructors because the fear is that we don't know enough about AI yet, or at which point it, or how how many mistakes it can make, to put people who are not qualified to generate content because they're unable to evaluate if that content is correct. But individuals who are qualified, and we had great presentation at the UIC leadership retreat of UIC hospitals in the EPIC system, using AI to help them generate summaries and communication to patients. So when you have qualified people working with AI, you have all the benefits. When you have unqualified people using AI, risks are greater. So we're still giving basically the industry time to catch up with that concept. But there are some solid systems with AI for students, such as Grammarly. It has been in use for years. It's been a pioneer in AI, and prior to ChatGPT altogether. So we are considering other systems like Grammarly to see if we can grant access to students so that students are able to take full advantage of the state-of-the-art reliable AI.
That was very well said. And my last question, are there equity issues with the access to AI? And are the financially well-off individuals particularly in an advantage?
Excellent question. And for a while, our industry dealt with what's called digital divide. And digital divide was advantage that people had who had access to fast internet, or people who had access to laptops. So commonly at universities, there are labs that were built in order to create equity for students and their access to technology. With AI, we see this digital divide growing larger because the output of the free ChatGPT versus the output of the paid version is different. And in some cases, it was easier to find the ChatGPT free documents as identified as AI written than the paid ones. So we see this as an equity problem, which is one of the reasons why we are considering licensing institutionally AI for students, such as, again, the example of Grammarly, where when all students have access to it through the institution, then some of that equity is provided. And we certainly are looking forward to limiting the digital divide, even though since the 90s and earlier, but especially in the 90s when the internet became big and everybody had to bring a laptop to school, became very, very obvious. So digital divide is something that we'll live with and we'll deal with for a long time. But at UIC, we're making steps to help provide some equity and at least provide experience for students with AI. For School of Engineering and for anyone who is using GitHub, you can get access through our GitHub licensing for students to the Copilot. And that's a nice way, again, where some of the equity is provided by just general licensing through the institution. Well, Par, thank you so much for the questions. And at this point, I'm going to stop sharing the slides, and I'm going to jump into our demo. Now, this is going to be an introduction, and then you can go ahead and go to your Ultra course. All instructors at UIC have an Ultra course. We called it something like your Ultra course to explore. So just jump into your Ultra course and you can explore this. So in order to add an image, so details and actions, there is a place for edit display settings. And so this takes me to the course image. And under the course image, I can select an image, and in the drop down here, instead of uploading from my computer, and commonly instructors would go maybe to Google Images and search for an image. Notice that it's difficult to get the exact licensing from that search. You might be, not on purpose, but you might be downloading an image that's copyrighted and kind of get yourself into a difficult spot. So instead, when you select stock image from Unsplash, this is where you will get some suggestions, and notice the author's name. So respectful of the Unsplash licensing, this is provided. We can look for, let's say, Python programming, right? Which is kind of a very specific topic in computer science. And so notice that the images are appropriate to what we would want to see in this kind of a graphical explanation, what the system is. So I'll select the first image here. I'll say next. The nice thing that we see here is that previously you had to resize the image for the banner, and it was a lot of tinkering around. So instead here you have a button where you can adjust what it is in the image that you want to see. You press save, and the image is going to be set. So that's the first feature, and that's the Unsplash for course image. A really flexible and nice way to just kind of spice up and refresh your course. The next feature, let's look at the generation of modules. So here I'm going to press the plus sign and say auto-generate modules. Now, because my course is called LTS Webinars and Workshops, the AI, and gotta give it kind of a good grade for trying, right? It's trying to produce modules for that course, but instead maybe we're going to produce something around AI for instructors, and let's include here designing an online course and creating engagement in an online course. So I could have, with this feature, what works really well is to provide a list of topics from the textbook, so a list of chapters. You can just copy and paste that from the publisher website, because then each title, each chapter will have its own module. But let's start with this. We'll go ahead and generate. And so AI is going to take our description into consideration and then generate content based on that. All right, so Introduction to AI for Instructors, a very reasonable module here, designing effective courses, creating engaging multimedia content, a very fair and kind of appropriate set of modules, including their description. So notice I did not have to spend time writing things up. I can regenerate if I want to, or I can go to edit details. And notice that the images which are produced by AI are kind of within the scope of the module. Now, one way to tell that the image is generated by AI is when there's text, it's always kind of unreasonable. It's not even a language, right? It's just kind of random text. That's how AI images are generated. You could replace this image if you wanted to, or you can go back even to the Unsplash interface, find an image there, download it, and then put it as a module image. All right, so with that, notice that there's not an accept all. Blackboard did that on purpose. They want you to be very, very purposeful and intentional about these drafts. So you have to select each one, and only when you select it, you go ahead and end up adopting it into your course. All right, next we're going to look at question generation. So I have a document here. This document, I'm sorry, this is not the document. The document here is a copy and paste from learning.uic.edu. It happens to be an article about AI that we put together. And so at the bottom of this article, I have an option to auto-generate question bank. And this is the beautiful thing about these AI features, is that once you can even temporarily create a document, create questions, and then delete the document. So if there is some content that you would like to get questions created for. So let's say your syllabus is in a Word document. You can copy and paste that into this document, generate questions, and then remove the document and keep your syllabi in a Word document. Okay, so here we have a question, mix and match. We have fill the blank questions, and there's even a question where we will put some responses. This is where you can specify, oh no, I just want multiple choice questions. Multiple choice are nice because a student has to select a specific answer. So when you have fill in the blank, sometimes the instructor has to go back and kind of evaluate whether the response was correct. But nice questions that basically are exactly about the content we wanted to, and questions that go into various details of the document. Okay, so that's how we can create questions. And finally, let's look at the feature of rubric generation. So now when we talk about an assignment, so this was a document. Now I'm going to look at an assignment in Blackboard. I would go to the settings and then scroll down to rubrics. And let's see here, rubric. And I can create one by hand or manually, or I can generate one. And at this point, we have a similar situation as with question generation. We can provide some, or similar assertion as in learning modules, we can provide more information here for AI. So if you have an assignment and you say, I'm looking for 100 words, let's say 1,500 words of length, I'm looking for excellent grammar, I'm looking for this, this, and this, it will help AI to put it in the criteria, and then it'll auto-generate the various levels. And then, of course, when you grade the assignment, you end up grading it by each element in the rubric, which gives the student more feedback, more accurate feedback, helps them to understand how they can improve. So these are the features in AI inside of Blackboard Learn. This is called AI Design Assistant. It's meant for instructors. And I'd like to thank you very much for your time, either participating or watching this webinar. We look forward to the things we can do with AI to inspire instructors, to help them adapt new features without frustration, with ease. And so we hope that this will translate into courses that are more interesting, courses that change more often, courses that can adopt authentic assessment, meaning using more current events, using personal experiences, and all these can be easily changed into course elements. Well, thank you very much, and we'll see you at the next webinar.